somebody. I was a very dependent person.
Very insecure.
With the drinking, I couldn't deal with it. And I remember that day I decided to end it all. I was very lonely when I was coming up. I always was a loner by myself. I would always try to find God. I would look up in the sky and I would always try to find God. I'd be walking and I would walk places where nobody was there. And when I received the Lord, when I tried to commit suicide that time, the Lord showed me. He spoke to me then and said, I've been dealing with you for so long. No, I didn't even understand God's voice, but I know in the emergency room God spoke to me and said, I've been dealing with you. Then I remember in '69 God had appeared to me, and I went to the priest and he didn't really have a word for me. You know, when I saw the Lord, and we were told when you see God you're going to die, but it was a real experience, and I knew then that God had something for my life. But I remember one morning leaving my home, where this was really, and I talked to myself, I said, God, this is it. I don't want to live anymore. I don't want to live anymore. As I went through with the struggle, I just don't deal with pain that easy. I walked out of my house and I sat on the freeway at the exit, and all the cars were going by, and I was hurting so much. I said, God, if somebody would squeeze me right now, I would literally bleed. You know, and the lady passed by and she looked at me, and I said, I don't care. They don't have the answer for me. They don't have the answer for me. I need you, Jesus. I need you to show up today. I literally talked to God. And all of a sudden, it came out of my mouth. That's how I knew I was delivered from suicide, because I tried suicide several times. And it came out of my mouth. It said, I hurt so much that suicide is not the answer. And I knew then that God had delivered me from that spirit of suicide. And the Lord said, go home. And I got up, sitting at the curb, 5 o'clock in the morning, off the busy exit. I was going to do it that day. But I went home, and my husband didn't even know I'd left the bed. And I thought, God, I thank you. And from then I decided, I made a decision, you're going to serve God.
And your husband made that decision a year later. Yeah. You have come through so much. We cannot tell the whole story.
Amen.
But I love that God spoke to you very clearly in another place of struggle with your eyesight and said, take your eyes off your eyes and focus on me.
Yes.
And that was the day you knew God had a mission for you.
A mission.
I just have a couple of photos here. This is a little gal in Panama who is a right-hand woman.
She's
in your
my
ministry
armor bearer.
There.
Everything that happens in the ministry, I'm putting her to school. She's 26 and she has 1 more year to go. And God has been really seeing it happen. And she's really excited about graduating. But everything you see in the ministry, this one person, the power of one person.
And look at the people that are being impacted. This is just one. You've got a whole album.
Yes.
These are young people who are worshiping Christ.
And that was another ministry. I did a school supply, and Panama Mission has been known for 8 years. And just to see the genuineness, as I told them about their portfolio to come and receive, as they were receiving the free school supply, they said, this is the greatest supply I can give you right now. If you don't have a portfolio, if you haven't received it, of all your invisible assets that God has for you, come and get it. And these children, forget the school supply. You see the genuineness, how they receive God.
They have new life. Your book is available in both Spanish and English. I love your amplification of Proverbs 3, 5, and 6. Many of us can quote this verse. But you say, in all your ways, you know how it begins? In all your ways acknowledge Him, and He will direct your paths.
Yes.
So Regina's version is, in all your situations, all your unfavorable conditions, all your fears, all your pains, all your frustrations, in all your ways, keep your focus
on God,
on Him. And look what He is doing with you.
Yes. Sometimes when we don't really, I like to look at the Word and I like to take it apart. I like to savor every word.
It's a Bible study.
Yeah. Because when you think about all your ways, it doesn't mean some, it means all. It means even an unfavorable situation, you acknowledge God. Like the Lord just gave me a scripture coming up here. He said, be anxious for nothing, but in everything with prayer, supplication, and thanksgiving, give God thanks. But a lot of times we get very, discouraged because we're looking for the healing. I'm looking for God. You said, don't be anxious. When I pray, you're going to heal me right then. But he said, that's not what I said. I said, I'll give you peace. The peace of God will guard your heart and mind till I bring your healing to pass. And that's all you need to have right now is the peace of God. Because sometimes we get you know, I've seen people turn back because when they pray, well, God said, whatever I ask, He's going to do it. You know, people say, well, you're not healed because you don't have faith. You're not healed because of sin. You're not healed because, no. God has a time and He has a season,
and
but He
His
gives you peace.
sufficiency is so evident in you. And you know the message I want to wrap with here, in this whole hour, I think we've been reminded that, you know, if you're ready, you won't have to get ready. These are troubled